Hi everybody, it's Miss Amy and Abigail! She's joining me in the shed tonight to read the book on the couch. The shed.
The shed.
The shed.
The she shed.
The she shed. It's not a she or she shed, but it's a she shed.
It's a she shed.
And we're here to read Roald Dahl's James and the Giant Peach, chapter 27. Now remember, boys and girls, Miss Amy does not own the rights to this book. She just owns the book, and she's glad she gets to share it with you. So last week, we saw that Centipede fell over the side.
Oh,
Yeah, you weren't in here.
Yeah.
That's no bueno, huh? No good? No good. Anyways, and James had Silkworm get some silk together, and he pretty much plunged down there and went into the ocean and saved him. And everybody was celebrating. James is obviously a really good friend. And so I'm also learning doing all this, boys and girls, that it's not so great lighting in here right now at night. So I'm going to do my best to try to do these during the day. But in the meantime, you get to see pixelated Miss Amy and Abigail. All right, so let's go ahead and crack the spine and open the book and see what happens in chapter
27.
She's just here for moral support and to be goofy. All right. James Henry Trotter and his companions crouched close together on top of the peach as the night began closing in around them. That's right. They were keeping watch. I forgot about that. They had decided to keep watch because they were worried about what was going to happen at night. They were worried that they'd end up back in the ocean. Clouds, like mountains, towered high above their heads on all sides. Mysterious, menacing, overwhelming. Gradually, it grew darker and darker. And then a pale 3/4 moon came up over the tops of the clouds and cast an eerie light over the whole scene. Ooh, it's so eerie. The giant peach swayed gently from side to side as it floated along, and the hundreds of silky white strings going upward from its stem were beautiful in the moonlight. So also was the great flock of seagulls overhead. I'm telling you, those seagulls must be getting really tired. They've been flying this peach for a while now. They might need to find a place.
Chapters?
I know, right? Can we put the peach down?
It could be around their feet.
No, it's around their neck. That was the plan. There was not a sound anywhere. Traveling upon the peach was not in the least like traveling in an airplane. The airplane comes clattering and roaring through the sky, and whatever might be lurking secretly up there in the great cloud mountains goes running for cover as it approaches. That is why people who travel in airplanes never see anything. But the peach, ah yes, the peach was a soft, stealthy traveler, making no noise at all as it floated along. And several times during the long, silent night ride, high up over the middle of the ocean in the moonlight, James and his friends saw things that no one had ever seen before. Dun, dun, dun.
What do you think they saw?
I don't know. What do you think they saw?
I don't know. Some cloud monster.
Cloud monsters?
Like the guy from Neverending Story.
The nothing.
The
The
dragon.
nothing.
No, the dragon.
The dragon's not a monster in Neverending Story. He's nice.
Well, I mean, like, it could be a nice cloud monster.
Oh, and not, like Cookie Monster.
Yeah.
He's nice to everybody unless you're Cookie.
Unless you have cookies.
Yeah.
And you won't give them to him.
No. Yeah.
Okay, back to the story.
Yeah. Anyways, squirrel. Once, as they drifted silently past a massive white cloud, they saw on the top of it a group of strange, tall, wispy-looking things.
What does that mean?
Wispy? I don't know. Your hair can be wispy, so kind of wispy. That wispy? I don't know. Wispy-looking things that were about twice the height of an ordinary man. They were not easy to see at first because they were almost as white as the cloud itself. So here, boys and girls, is the peach right there. And they're in the sky. Doo, doo, doo.
What's as white as a cloud that are tall and wispy?
I don't know. We'll have to turn the page and find out. But as the peach sailed closer, it became obvious that these things were actually living creatures. What were they? Tall, wispy, wrath-like, shadowy, white creatures who looked as though they were made out of a mixture of cotton wool and candy floss and thin white hairs.
Candy floss is cotton candy.
Yes, that is correct. Candy floss
I thought they
is
were
cotton
white.
candy. Didn't say, well, cotton candy can be white.
White cotton candy.
I've seen white cotton candy.
Have you seen white cotton candy? I know I haven't.
I have. You can see it on YouTube. They do great things with cotton candy in either China or Japan.
It's in Japan.
Japan. Anyways. Ooh, the ladybug said. I don't like this at all. Shh, James whispered back. Don't let them hear you. They must be cloudmen. Cloudmen, they murmured, holding closer together for comfort. Oh dear! Oh dear! I'm glad I'm blind and can't see them, the earthworm said.
Did you know the earthworm was blind?
I have from this book, yes. They have no eyeballs.
None of them?
I don't
Or
think
just-
so. I
or
think it
just
explained they don't.
Earthworm.
I don't know. Might just be earthworms. I don't know. Good thing to Google. Oh. The earthworm said he was glad that he was blind and couldn't see him. Or I would probably scream. I hope they don't turn around and see us, Miss Spider stammered. Do you think they would eat us? The earthworm asked. They would eat you, the centipede answered, grinning. They would cut you up like a salami and eat you in the thin slices.
Centipede's got a sense of humor, or he just doesn't like earthworm?
He doesn't like earthworm very much, and he's just very sarcastic. The poor earthworm began to quiver all over with fright. But what are they doing? The old green grasshopper whispered. I don't know, James answered softly. Let's watch and see. The cloudmen were all standing in a group, and they were doing something peculiar with their hands. First, they would reach out, all of them at once, and grab handfuls of cloud. Then they would roll the handfuls of cloud into their fingers until they turned into what looked like large white marbles. Then they would toss the marbles to one side and quickly grab mitts more cloud and start over again. It was all very silent and mysterious. The pile of marbles beside them kept growing larger and larger. Soon there was a truckload of them there at least. They must be absolutely mad, the centipede said. There's nothing to be afraid of here. Be quiet, you pest, the earthworm whispered. We shall all be eaten if they see us. But the cloudmen were much too busy with what they were doing to have noticed the great peach floating silently up behind them. Good thing it was behind them and not in front of them. Then the watchers on the peach saw one of the cloudmen raising his long, wispy arms above his head, and they heard him shouting, "All right, boys, that's enough! Get the shovels!" And all the other cloudmen immediately let out a strange, high-pitched whoop for joy and started jumping up and down and waving their arms in the air. Then they picked up the enormous shovels and rushed over to the pile of marbles and began shoveling them as fast as they could over the side of the cloud into space. Down they go, they chanted as they worked. Down they go, hail and snow, freezes and sneezes and noses will blow.
So they're making hail.
It's hailstones, whispered James excitedly. They've been making hailstones, and now they're showering them down onto the people and to the world below. Hailstones? The centipede said. That's ridiculous. This is summertime. You don't have hailstones in summertime. They're practicing for the winter, James told him. I don't believe it, shouted the centipede, raising his voice. Shh, the others whispered, and James said softly, For heaven's sake, centipede, don't make so much noise. The centipede roared with laughter. Those imbeciles couldn't hear anything, he cried. They're as deaf as doorknobs. You watch. And before anyone could stop him, he had cupped his hands his front feet to his mouth and was yelling at the cloudmen as loud as he could. Okay, this guy's so dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Centipede is dumb.
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys! Oh, that's not in the book. That's in a movie. Sorry. That's our little knock to Goonies. Okay, moving on. He's got his feet. Gross. He's got his feet.
He doesn't have hands. So
Well,
what else is he supposed to do?
That's nasty. Ew. Okay. Idiots! He yelled. Nincompoops! Half-wits! Blunderheads! Booties! That's not what it says, but I had to change it because I don't use language like that. What on earth do you think you're doing over there? The effect was immediate. The cloudmen jumped around as if they had been stung by wasps. Woo, woo, woo. And when they saw the great golden peach floating past them, not 50 yards away in the sky, they gave a yelp of surprise. Woo! Sounds like me when you guys jump out at me. And then I go, yeah. And dropped their shovels to the ground. And there they stood with the moonlight streaming down all over them, absolutely motionless. Like a tall group of white, hairy statues staring and staring at the gigantic fruit as it went sailing by. The passengers on the Peach, all except the Centipede, sat frozen with terror, looking back at the Cloudmen and wondering what was going to happen next. Now you've done it, you loathsome pest, whispered the earthworm to the Centipede. I'm not frightened of them, shouted the Centipede, and to show everybody once again that he wasn't, he stood up to his full height and started dancing around and making insulting signs at the Cloudmen with all 42 of his legs.
How's he standing up then?
I guess probably not really on the bottom half, huh? I don't think they thought about that one. Here is a picture of the Cloudmen shoveling on the cloud. And there's the moon. The moon. I don't see the Peach in this picture. It's just the Cloudmen sending off the hailstones. This evidently infuriated the Cloudmen beyond belief. All at once, they spun around and grabbed great handfuls of hailstones and rushed to the edge of the cloud and started throwing them at the Peach, shrieking with fury all the time. "Look out!" cried James. "Quick! Lie down! Lie flat on the deck!" Oh, we lost Abigail. She's lying down flat. She's afraid of the hailstone. It was lucky they did. A large hailstone can hurt you as much as a rock or a lump of lead if it is thrown hard enough. And my goodness, how those Cloudmen could throw! The hailstones came whizzing through the air like bullets from a machine gun, and James could hear them smashing against the sides of the Peach and burying themselves in the peach flesh with horrible squelching noises. Plop!
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 And then ping!
Ping!
Ping! As they bounced off the poor ladybug's shell because she couldn't lie as flat as the others. And then crack! As one of them hit Centipede right on the nose. And crack! Again as another one hit him somewhere else. "Oh!" he cried. "Oh! Stop! Stop! Stop!" But the Cloudmen had no intention of stopping. James could see them rushing about on the cloud like a lot of huge hairy ghosts. There's no such thing as ghosts. The dead shall rise no more. I guess if you were going to see a ghost, then what do you think a ghost would look like?
It probably looks like
It
that.
looks like that, I guess. I don't know. Hairy ones, though. It says hairy ghosts.
Centipede.
Picking up hailstones from the pile, dashing to the edge of the cloud, hurling the hailstones at the Peach, dashing back again to get more. And then when the pile of stones was all gone, they simply grabbed handfuls of cloud and made as many as more as they wanted, and much bigger ones now, some of them as large as cannonballs. Cannonball! Oh. "Quickly!" cried James. "Down the tunnel, or we'll all be wiped out!" There was a rush for the tunnel entrance, and half a minute later, everybody was safely downstairs inside the stone of the Peach. The pit of the Peach. Trembling with fright. Yeah, she's exaggerating. I didn't even spit yet.
The
Pit of the Peach, trembling with fright and listening to the noise of the hailstones as they came crashing against the side of the Peach. "I'm a wreck," groaned the Centipede. "I'm wounded all over."
Oh, poor baby.
Right? It serves you right. right, said the earthworm. Would somebody kindly look and see if my shell is cracked, the ladybug said.
No, you're good.
Give us some light, shouted the old green grasshopper. I can't, wailed the glowworm. They've broken my bulb. Then put in another one, the centipede said. Be quiet a moment, said James. Listen. I do believe they're not hitting us anymore.
That's an upside.
That is good. They all stopped talking and listened. Yes, the noise had ceased. The hailstones were no longer smashing against the peach. We've left them behind. The seagulls must have pulled us away out of danger. Hooray! Let's go up and see. Cautiously, with James going first, they all climbed back up the tunnel. James poked his head out and looked around. It's all clear, he called. I can't see them anywhere. And that ends chapter 27 of James and the Giant Peach, boys and girls. I think what I learned today from what we read is we should not push our luck. We should not make fun of people. And those cloud men, they weren't doing one thing. They should not have been doing that, Abigail Gray, should they?
No.
No. So don't antagonize people. Don't egg them on. Don't mess with people just to mess with them. And you never do know. Like he said, oh, they can't hear anything. You never know what people can and can't hear. So boys and girls, make sure to always be nice and think before you speak of what might happen. And thanks again for sharing another evening of Roald Dahl's James and the Giant Peach with Abigail and I. And if you're watching this before bedtime, good night.
And sleep tight.